Well, good day, everybody. I'm here with Chad Stevens, and my name is Cosmic Carrie Star. I'm the author of a book called Great Circle of Desire. Chad has actually read the book and used it in his relationship. So I asked him if he would go on with me and say a few words about what he experienced. And so he stepped forward boldly, and he's going to share it with you guys. All right. So, Chad, how long have you been married?
Been about 2 years now.
2 whole years. If
Yes,
you
it's been
would you,
about a 7-year relationship though.
let's see. So, what is your age, if you don't mind me asking?
34.
You've been married 2 years, and you've been together for 7 years. And what made you decide to read my book?
Well, I came up on Facebook and it looked very interesting. And I went about trying to figure out how to be the best partner I could possibly be because I was noticing some serious declines in certain areas in my relationship that I just wasn't about to settle for.
Do you want
Turned
to be
out
more
I was
specific?
really
Because a lot of people will, I'm sure, relate to what you're talking about.
a lot of the amount of the passion and desire just kind of dissipated in the relationship
Mm-hmm.
quite drastically. So I went off to go to try to fix that.
Awesome.
And there was a couple of books that really helped me. There was one in particular that gave a large spectrum of things that I probably would want to look forward to work on. Basically, learning how to fully step into a fully divine masculine role. One
Nice.
thing that nothing else, no other book has actually touched on was what you talked about, though. And I experienced everything that you talked about in your book, even when she came to saying that she felt used and unloved and would end up heartbroken and sad after intercourse.
Wow.
One of the craziest parts is when I embraced her with the specific way that you mentioned, which really isn't that much different. There's nothing really that fancy about it.
I
It's really
know.
just having the right intention and just a little subtle changes.
Yeah.
I embraced her that way, and she looked at me and went, "Oh my goodness, you're hugging me. You've never hugged me." And in the back of my head, I'm like, I have no idea how you can say that because I literally hug you every day, multiple times a day. But she's never felt it
Oh my God, that's
because
amazing.
I didn't have that guidance and direction. And it really was a huge game changer. She felt closer.
Wow.
It sparked so much. It really was an essential part. And I really feel if any guy is not aware of this in their relationship, not only is their partner going to suffer, but they're going to suffer as well. You really brought out a very essential puzzle piece that I believe every man should know for their partner's sake.
Whew. Well, that warms my heart to hear you say that. I've actually got tears in my eyes. That's phenomenal because this is what I believe, but I don't have a whole ton of evidence to back up what I'm saying because I think as soon as people hear things like what you're saying, they're going to be very excited to give it a try.
Really hope more people do. I really think if partners started to feel closer, more bonded, it would really take away a lot of the resentment that people would just bring out to the entire outside of their lives, outside the relationships. I really think if more people read your book, the whole entire world would actually be a happier place. Because, I mean, you're happy at
Ah,
home, you bring that happiness everywhere you go.
yeah,
And
yeah.
without this knowledge, it's really hard to have a truly happy home.
That's so incredible to hear you say that. And what else does she has she said anything more about it other than I finally feel hugged? You finally hugged me, or what has she shown you that as a result? What has shown up in your
It's more
relationship?
been an absence of things. There hasn't been no more of that sadness afterwards. I haven't heard her say that she just felt used, that she felt alone.
Wow.
She hasn't said a lot of things of that nature because she really was. She was struggling there for a while, and I just had no idea what to bring to the table so that she didn't feel that way.
Isn't that crazy? How many guys are wondering, what the heck do I do? I don't know what to do. Right?
Exactly. I will say there's a lot of misinformation. Something really interesting because I've even tried earlier to do stuff that I've learned from other female authors. And honestly, those will usually make the relationship worse. I will not deny.
Oh my
Yours
God.
is very unique. It literally did everything that you said it would and more. It really did brighten up everything. It was such a huge element to letting her feel loved, connected, cherished, and adored. And then she feels seen and heard.
Oh my gosh. Instead of having to work at every single one of those items, right? You got to
Yes,
say this, you got to do this, you got to make the money, you got to take out the trash, you got all these lists of things that then maybe she'll love you. Maybe then she'll want to have sex with you, right?
yeah, that's a
It's like,
terrible approach.
yeah, that's the way it's been though. Like David Dida, excuse me for using him. I think he's incredible, but he puts the bar this high to be sacred masculine and impress her and be everything that she wants. And I'm like, I don't think it's that high, you know?
He is definitely one of the authors that I have listened to, and I don't know. I think there is something to having that bar up there, but he even doesn't cover what you covered.
I covered the simplest thing in the
It's
world.
still like the only place I've ever found this missing puzzle piece. I mean, I've practiced tantra, mindful breath work, partners. I've pretty much anything you could think of. I mean, I do spiritual, energetic work. I've done the prana breath, so much different things. And still, it took me years and years and years to finally find the huge puzzle piece that you have in your book. I've highly recommended it to everybody that I've talked to.
Oh, that's so sweet. I feel like the world's going to go up in a flame once I get it out there. Really. So I'm working right now on getting a major marketing company to help me. So, and I plan on putting it out so cheap that everyone in the world can afford it, you know?
I think it
And
was
with
pretty much
AI,
already there.
huh?
I think it was about there already.
Yeah, I know, I know. But I need people like you who really get it, who've really experienced it, because so far I'm kind of just telling stories about people, I do. So I'm so pleased that you're on here saying all this, and I'm rather blown away and excited to hear this. Fantastic. I didn't pay him to say this, you guys.
No, I've been eager to tell people how great this book was. I recommend it on a regular. There's nowhere else you're going to find this information, and it's so simple. I mean, so simple.
Well, I've
Anybody.
created a long narrative about why I think it was missing and the coming back of it. I mean, I was told that I've lived past lives and been murdered for this, and that this time I would be successful. And it really pissed me off. I'm like, well, that's not fair that I would get murdered before, why now? And it's because of the great shift. We're turning back toward love. We've been running away from it. And this embrace, I'm going to venture to say, from what I've observed over 14 years, especially the last couple of years, is the one key missing thing they took out. It's like they got the whole circle. They took out this one little piece of the pie, which was the connection right there. Like, you guys let our hearts in a little bit, but not all the way. And that missing link made us miserable, like your wife has expressed so eloquently, because I was experiencing that from time to time, and I would end up curled up in bed in a ball for 3 days. I couldn't move. I felt so filthy and disgusting. much like what your wife was saying. And men do not understand that because they don't feel
No.
that way. And
No, and
women,
actually, it was when I read your book, and then you even mentioned that part in there, and I was like, oh, oh no. Yeah, that's why she was feeling that way. Oh no. But then I was like, well, this is clearly going to express how to fix that particular part. So I got real excited after I got disheartened. And your book definitely didn't let me down. Because after I read that part about, how you felt used and dirty and disgusting and curled up in a ball for 3 days, because I was like, dang, I was doing that. That's exactly how she, like almost word for word of how you describe how you felt in the book, was word for word how she was describing feeling. And yeah, when I first read that, I was just completely distraught. I was heartbroken about it. But then as soon as I had that thought process, I was like, wait, this book says there's a remedy for this. So instantly I was like, ooh, this is exciting now. And then once I fell through with it, yeah, it was no letdown. The excitement was there for a purpose because it did exactly what you said it would.
well, I like to describe it as here's the man's chest. The energy's supposed to go in a circle. And so the woman's heart energy is coming around like this to enter his heart. And it kind of just bangs up against it. And he might like do little bits of response. But what I teach him to do is do this. You can pull it in and hold it there for a long time, right? Until she's had
Yes.
enough. What's the longest she's ever gone with just the embrace itself? Have you done a marathon, like a 45-minute embrace or 2 hours? Or some people do.
Standing up and just taking time. I mean, I have 4 kids. It's crazy. It's hectic. So probably the most has been like just in the middle of the day, probably 2 minutes. But I will say I couldn't even get 5 seconds at one point in time in the relationship. Like
Wow.
she didn't even want it. She didn't even want the 5 seconds of my affection, time, and energy.
Oh, that's rough.
And then the marathons would be when we would cuddle up in bed.
Mm-hmm.
And actually having that mindful intention and bringing that practice. Because before she would actually curl up and go to the opposite side of the bed.
Mm.
Like wanted very little. If so, it was like, all right, you put your hand right here to cuddle, and that's it. And
What
now
she's telling you to do the
we
embrace?
fully embrace and cuddle as close as could be all night long.
Oh, oh my gosh, that's so beautiful. Well, this should give a lot of people a lot of hope. I got divorced because I couldn't get close to my husband. After a year, the honeymoon was over, and we were stuck, and we got divorced. And this was the thing. I could not broach the subject, and I think women's voices were just like tied in a noose that they couldn't speak their truth. Really, because there's just it doesn't make any sense, does it? That something so simple could be
No,
not
it
in our
doesn't.
consciousness. It just doesn't make sense other than there was a lock on our consciousness blocking us from having that, just so that we would go through. Now, this is the way I put it together in my narrative, that we were we were learning to be tough and resilient. So we had to create a distress in humanity. And the distress was taking out the heart connection. Because what we're doing here is male-female relationships that create babies and families. Of course, anybody can be any sex they want. I'm totally in support of that. But to have babies and, growing up with their parents, it's a male and a female. So for those people that are still doing that and still wanting that, children prefer to stay with their own parents and their own parents to love each other, and for the kids to know that they were born in love, and there's very few people experiencing that. But with this embrace, kids can be raised in the waves of love that radiate from the parents when they do this embrace. And the kids can be taught the embrace, and you don't really have to worry about the getting into too much of the sexual stuff. Do you have the experience of like tapping into the divine, like having a sacred divine experience at all? You're giving me that
What do you
blank
mean by
stare.
that? During the embrace?
Like when the hearts merge, when you go really, really deep, and she goes into full polarity, like just relaxing her whole body and turning it over to you in surrender. Have you experienced that?
Yes. When that happens, I don't know. It's like tingling in the heart. It's absolutely magical, and you can feel the energy, and you can feel her subtly just surrender in your presence and
Ugh,
into you. And it is the most rejuvenating yet relaxing experience I have ever felt. That's
agreed.
why I truly believe there's something magical about a fully divine masculine and a fully divine feminine. And once they merge, that's where the real magic can happen. Everybody's happy because her just surrendering into that masculine frame is really just one of the most empowering thing any man can possibly feel.
Agreed.
And you know that you are literally creating a blissful, euphoric, heavenly space for her as well.
Ugh, you feel it, right?
Yes.
Men are often said not to be intuitive, but they are especially intuitive in certain situations, right? So you be super masculine, and you're empowered to go out there and do your thing in the world. And when you come back together with your partner, then you do what it takes to go into full polarity, because there's a higher place for the men to go as well as a much higher place for the women to go. So the man leads her into this state of full 100% feminine polarity through the heart, and he takes her step by step into this. It's not hard, but it's kind of like a simple, like ABC. You just follow the code, right?
Yep.
She goes into the mode, and then what I experience is the men just go Shazam, and the sense that I get when I'm with somebody in that state, it's this: the men do not have a big, powerful ego, yet they are superpowered.
Yes.
It's like they have relaxed their ego, and I feel totally equal in the same space with them. And it almost just takes my breath away. I don't even talk about it when it happens. I just go, oh, like it's so beautiful and perfect. And so to actually, for a woman to surrender to a man, see, I just got lost. It went so broad. It's so big. To surrender sounds bad, like you're being weak, but really it's the feminine power. That's when you're in your power as a female, is when you're able to surrender. And then that flips him into his power as a male to be 100%. So you've got the divine 100% of both of them in full function, in their full design. And dare I say, it's the same for everybody. So you have a divine female and a divine male, and everybody has the potential to reach that with this simple circle of desire.
Yes.
I can yabber on forever. I know you're kind of short on time, but please, if you've got anything else you think might be of interest to people listening, do share.
Yeah, my mind's going a little bit blank with that right now. I'm sure as soon as I hang
Do the
up, I'm gonna
kids?
be like, "Oh, I could have talked
Do you
about
know?
this." But
Do you notice the kids responding to you guys differently? Do you hug in front of them?
yes, since the relationship got more harmonic, the whole entire household dynamic also did.
Wow.
Very much so. Like the kids are happier. Everything is more peaceful. Everything flows more smoothly. Like I said, once the relationship gets to that point and you get to glow with just radiant divine love, and then it just spreads throughout the entire household. And then you take that with you outside the house. You notice that in the workplace, you notice it everywhere. And it's just like lighting a candle and watching the glow just brighten up everywhere you go.
Have your friends noticed?
Have my friends noticed?
You don't have time for friends, it sounds
On that
like,
one.
with 4 kids.
Her friends have noticed.
Oh, yeah?
Honestly, kind of straight away towards my older friends. At one time, one of my friends, when I really started getting on my kick of being the best man I could possibly be and doing a lot of very serious self work, he literally went, "Why are you doing that?" What do you mean? Why wouldn't I want to be the best version of my? And I was like, and I really want to make my relationship better. And he's like, well, is she doing that? No. See, that's not fair. All right, we're done talking right now. Not too many of my friends have gotten on that page. I did notice that a lot of them noticed a change in me. Noticed I became a lot happier and brighter. Was able to go out and do a lot more, to the point where I've actually just recently switched my 9 to 5 job.
Yeah?
So I'm probably in a setting that's probably not as that I would fit in better with this new mentality and this new practice. Or I was a tree guy.
You were what?
A tree guy.
Tree guy. What does that mean?
I trim trees for the power lines.
Stressful.
Yeah.
You could get hurt pretty easily.
Yes. It constantly balances between number 1 to number 3 most dangerous jobs in the world.
Oh.
And it attracts a certain type of guy. It does. They are apex of their own right. I mean, it takes a certain type of strong mentality and a strong body to do what we do. But after that, I switched on up to going on out and making friends all day. I switched to being an energy broker, and I go out and go talk to business owners and CEOs all day long and help them on out. And
wow, nice.
talk to hundreds of people every single day now.
So you're not the loner, the solitaire daredevil out there risking his life to be a hero or whatever. You're with people and you're just loving life more.
Exactly.
Nice.
I honestly would say I would go up in the treetops because I'm like, yeah, I mean, I could die at any second, but what's really nice is there's no people up here. And now I'm like, yeah, I don't really risk my life. You know what? I'd rather go out and go talk to 100 people every day.
Wow, that's a huge
and rewarding.
change.
And I could take that brightness and that energy and shine it towards people and brighten up their day. And it's just fantastic. It's just a constant
so
spinning,
different.
self-feeding conundrum of just greatness.
It's like those two hearts, the man's chest and the woman's heart, when they come together and they resonate and they spend time together, some kind of magic happens, huh?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. And it's been missing from the whole world.
Yes. I in my area, I don't know about everywhere else because I've been mostly in this small little town where I'm at. There's not a lot of really happy couples. Like, you got divorced people and people that are miserably in a relationship out here. And that's about it.
And then there's you. You're going to start a club of one couple. Well, maybe you could start a little meetup and start teaching them. You could be a golden goddess. I'm kidding. No, this is really beautiful. I'm so touched by all of this and so excited. I just can hardly handle it. When I think of, hundreds, thousands, millions of people getting this, I think I'll just melt in a puddle and I won't even be able to talk. I'll just be so happy. It's hard enough to not be crying and blubbering when you're talking to me about this, because I'm so happy and excited, because I've seen all those things you're talking about, but I haven't heard a lot of people willing to say them, especially men. And I've been mostly working with men, but they don't talk to me very much. So it was such a boon to hear you step up to the plate and say, sure, I'll talk about it.
Oh yeah,
And
I would love to see this because if more people got, and like I said, it didn't just affect just my relationship. It didn't just it enhanced every bit of my life. It enhanced every bit of her life, and it enhanced every bit of my children's lives. And then I bring that everywhere I go now, and I just been watching everything just brighten on up. It's been absolutely magnificent. And one of the really interesting parts is she doesn't really even have to pay any attention to it. I will let you know. I'm not sure if she's still skeptical or whatnot. She really hasn't acknowledged it. In fact, even when I let me hold you again, she'll come on over and let it just melt right into me.
no,
But she'll
yes.
still just call it a hug.
She still calls it just a hug.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just take the role and take the lead with it and watch everything happen. And I understand a little bit more of what's happening in the background. And she's just going for the ride and doesn't even realize what all took place to just bring it to this excellent level. I would love the men to know that really, if they just took it on their own shoulders and read the book and practiced this, even without them, their partner joining on in, it will still have the same effect.
Right. She doesn't have to know the rest of her life
Yeah, I mean, I've tried to
what you're
talk to her about
doing.
it. She's like, uh-huh.
Oh my God. When women get into the state of pure surrender, they can't talk. And the last thing they could ever do is make a decision on something. It's so bizarre. But when you're in that state of full 100%, and the masculine is just sitting there, just ready to do everything and so proud of himself, right? That you can be there to assist her when she's in this state of ecstasy, being fully 100% divine feminine. I mean, the girls just go like, I ask them a question, they're like, and that's the way they feel. They're just like in heaven, you know? They're like, just hold me up. Don't make me talk or think or do anything. But it feels exquisite. It's not a bad thing, ladies. Don't worry. You can come back and go to work and manage your corporation. No problem. But when it comes time to let go, then you know how to do it and feel this amazing, long lost pleasure that's coming back to the world now.
Yeah,
Can you
I
tell
can
me?
definitely say that it doesn't affect that long term on that surrender because, I do work 4 jobs. So I'm not around very often. And she still pops right back into it, handling 4 kids, doing her cleaning job, and managing everything else. Yeah, pops right back into it. But then she has an oasis, a place to recover, recuperate, and relax afterwards.
Everything we thought it was supposed to be, right?
Yes,
And
brings it
more.
back to closer to that fairy tale
Yes.
romance that she used to see in Disney movies and stuff. That after a while you're like, oh, that doesn't actually exist.
It
And go
all
a couple more years
exists.
in. Yeah, it
It's just
does.
like they all said that everybody said to us growing up that unconditional love does not exist in the 3D world. And it's like, yeah, because this was missing. Once
Yeah.
those hearts are together, that's what you feel, right?
Mm-hmm.
Unconditional love. You feel it. And then all your problems get put into that high space of unconditional love, and you can see how to work things out in that very high frequency. Whereas down here, it's like, I'm just going to get divorced, or it's your fault, fighting and all this stuff. So I was going to ask you one thing is, can you describe what it feels like when her heart energy fills up your chest? That's a hard thing to describe, but the men might like to know that.
Like I said, it's relaxing. and comforting and soothing, but at the same time, it's energizing and exhilarating, and you feel like you're like glowing on the inside. Um,
Woohoo!
like glowing with divine radiant light. It's absolute, you feel completely empowered, like you could go out and take on the entire world.
He could leap tall buildings in a single bound.
Yes.
As it should be.
Yeah, you're like, yeah, you're completely ready to spring right into action and take care of everything that needs to be done.
Wow.
And it also, as I remember, at one time used to having feeling that fatigue and being tired and drained, and oh, my life's not that great. It's kind of sucks. That mentality, kind of shake the mentality, but that feeling was always there. And where you're just kind of just, bleh, you don't really want to do a lot, and to always raring to go, always ready to take on everything. At one time, one job was exhausting.
Wow. Well,
Now
you're
I got
saying what
four of them.
I've
I'm like,
believed.
well, I got energy. I just, there's just not enough daylight.
That's wild. Oh my gosh. Well, did I ever send you the rewrite of the book that I did? Did I ever send
Rewrite?
you that with all the pretty pictures in it and the colors? The original
I
book
don't
was
think so.
missing the information on the yin yang, the spinning. And so I didn't try to promote it very much. And then I rewrote it with all this beautiful art and all these fairy tale stories like you're talking about, because it dawned on me that people will want to relate to our childhood fairy tales and how they're true. They are absolutely true when we put it all back together again. So I'll be sure and send you a copy of that one. And
Oh, I
there'll be
appreciate
links attached to this video too. I'll put it on YouTube. And if I come up with some talking engagement that pays you lots of money, I'll make sure and get you in on it. We
it.
need to
Sounds
hear.
great.
You've got lots of background in, being an evolving male, stepping into learning new things, and you've got some language that some people just, haven't gone into that realm yet. So it's very good. You have a lot of ways of describing what you've experienced, which is great. So who knows?
All right.
I suppose, unless, did you think of anything else you want to share?
Um, no, I think that might be about it. Thank you, Carrie. I really
Okay.
appreciate everything that you've done and everything that you wrote in that book. It was a huge game changer, and I hope you get to touch many more lives.
Just 8.9 billion to go.
I feel like it's going to spread like wildfire.
I think it will. Yeah. Well,
All right, Carrie.
congratulations on all the great stuff, and thank you so much.
Yep. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.